everyone, my name is Marta aka ObscureBeauty and welcome to a new video. It is not a vlog. I am on holidays on my parents' house in Portugal and I am trying a new kind of video that hopefully you will like. So let's get started. And we're back, so just relax, sit down and grab yourself a mug of coffee or tea or whichever you want to drink, and let's talk about this piece that I've recently drawn, and actually this week, yesterday, so definitely not that long ago. This is a commission that I've done, and it's basically a portrait of two characters. One of them I've drawn 2 times before, so every time I draw him actually, is leveled up a bit, and there's a lot of story for this guy, and I really enjoy knowing the story of all the characters that I draw. So it makes me so happy that I'm able to draw this character. I'd like to say his name. I don't know if it's actually how you pronounce it. Lanoli, Lanoli. Lanoli. That's how I say it. I don't know if that's the actual name. But basically, I've done him when he was, I think low level. I'm assuming low level, and now I'm drawing him when he's definitely more mature. And even his personality has matured. He's managed to get himself, as you see, a lover. And I just find it so nice to draw them leveled up and getting to know these characters. So this was a really nice commission that I got to do. His lover is a water genasi or genasi. I never know how it is, this race, this Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder race, but she's a water genasi. I'll just go with genasi for now, and then I'll stick with it. And he is an air genasi. He is a sorcerer, a wild sorcerer, but also a warlock, and she is, I believe, an NPC. She's a wizard. Water genasi, and I think they make such a cute little couple, and I managed to draw his face fairly much as I wanted. As you can see, I used that Brad Pitt picture. I think it's from a spy movie. I'm not 100% sure, but I can't remember. But I used that as a photo reference, and I had to change their face positions because they have their faces on that screenshot slightly tilted, and I found that so hard to draw properly. I ended up just putting their faces straighter, and for some reason I had a lot of trouble drawing your face. I think, when you're a young artist, I don't know, as a young artist I felt like drawing the side profile was the easiest, and all my drawings were basically side profile. And then at one point in my life, the side profile just became so much harder to draw. So basically, I cannot draw an eye that actually makes me happy on the side profile. So I struggled with her face a lot. But in the end, I got fairly happy with it. But this is not its final form, just so you know. As you can see, I have my references on the side. Basically, I draw in Procreate as usual, and I have this app called VizRes, which I spoke on one of my previous videos. I put the link up there, but it allows me to keep all the references aside. You can swap them from side to side, you can copy them, you can turn them grayscale, so you can actually see the values if you need to. I think it's an amazing program, and it's not that expensive, so just as you know, there's that program in case you use the iPad to draw. And I really like this program. I'm more or less considering potentially going to Windows at one point, or even Linux, but as far as I'm aware, there's no tablet as good as the iPad to draw so far. But I believe that Windows is actually doing fairly good job with that new computer of theirs. Surface Laptop Studio, the new one with the new pen. I've read fairly good reviews drawing wise for it, so maybe one day, I don't know, but that will mean that I will stop drawing on Procreate, and that actually makes me fairly anxious. I don't know about you, but I find it really hard to learn new programs. And even for video editing, I already had to learn several new programs, and every time I get so slow, it's a headache. I don't know how to do anything, and it feels like it takes ages for me to actually learn it. And for some reason, I end up changing all the time. So for video editing programs, I started with DaVinci. I wanted LumaFusion on iPad, and now I'm using Final Cut Pro. But I'm fairly certain I used Premiere Pro at one point, and I can't remember how to, but there you are. It's just so complicated. So I don't think I'll be able to go from Procreate to anything else easily. Back to the drawing, I'm finally coloring it. The sketch is fairly simple. I just pick and mix from every reference that I've used. I don't really have a style, and I want to get a style, obviously, but in the meantime, what I do is look at several references and see what I like from each one and kind of apply it on my own drawing. And it's not really copying, because, well, the reference is actually a screenshot from a movie, and yeah, I mean, it's completely different characters. There's no way to copy. I am picking colors from that photo because I had this Pinterest album with pictures about that girl as a reference for the water genasi girl. So I just blurred one of them and picked some colors, and I obviously ended up changing it afterwards because, well, not all of them look pretty in the beginning. And that's it. I mean, doing the flat colors is always so boring in my opinion, but it is what it is. I'm actually starting to get more used to do it. Like, I started drawing last year, as you know, potentially if you follow me. You know that I started drawing last year. And I kept hating doing line art and flats, and it was actually the parts that took me the longest when I draw. And I remember, like, on commissions that I said, yeah, I'm gonna start your commission. And then I drew the sketch, and then it would take me ages to actually continue, because it would take me ages to focus on it. And I don't know if it's because I'm doing it more often, if it's because I'm forcing it to actually keep on doing the line art and flats is getting easier and easier and actually more enjoyable. And it's definitely getting faster to do. So if you have this problem, just know that potentially you'll get there. And I'm finally doing the shading, and I do this in several layers. I keep all the flats in one layer, and then so I can select them if I need to. And then on the top layer I put some colors, like extra colors, like the blush on her face, for example, and other things. And then on the layer on top I do first layer of shadow. I usually just do the whole thing. And then on the second layer, I do a second shadow. I basically just copy, paste the shadow layer. I usually decrease a little bit the opacity. And then I just put a mask on top, and I actually shade what I want. And as you can see here, I go pretty overboard with the shading. And then I simplified it, because this kind of art style is not meant to be that complex. So I started doing the light on top. I usually use can't remember now, but between add, screen and overlay, I use those to put lighting on top. But I started doing it and I realized I really didn't like where it was going, so I went back to my references, and I really like this artist, Jamila. I hope I'm not saying it wrong. She's this amazing artist. I'm a patron, well, one of her patrons. Lol. I really like her. Basically, she makes this like semi-toon characters and these to die for Ghibli style backgrounds that I'd love to learn how to do, but I clearly don't. And I just simplified my shading a little bit. It's obviously not as perfect as I'd like, but in the end I was quite happy with the results. And the good thing of having everything in different layers, it means that in the end you can change the colors of basically everything you want, like changing the colors of the shading, changing the colors of the lighting, and the idea is to make everything fit in the environment a little bit better. So in here I'm still applying the light and trying to be a bit simple, a bit more simple than what I was trying to do initially. And I kind of tried to apply a bit the lighting. She actually has a picture with similar lighting to what I wanted, so that, yeah, I kind of applied a little bit the lighting she used, but not a lot. I'm adding a little bit more degradés. Like, it's not gradients because Procreate doesn't have the gradients like Photoshop, so I just go with the big airbrush and just put some different. I think it helps to just give like a more variation of colors since you use flats and you don't use a more complex shading. So I'm just getting that lighting a bit tweaked out and fixing up her eyes, and then don't forget to use a grayscale to check the values. I think that's really important and I always mess it up. It's very simple. You just add a layer, paint it white and set it on color mode, and you can see everything below it in grayscale, so you can adjust the levels and contrast in a way that everything that you want, it will stand out perfectly. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll probably be making more videos like this as they require less time video editing and therefore allow me more time to actually draw and make stationery for my shop. But leave me a comment down below so I know your opinion about it and if there's any topics you'd like me to talk about. Other than that, don't forget to please give a like or maybe subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Just that would help me a lot, and see you on the next video. Have a good weekend. Goodbye!